Everyone else is in bed. I am the prison wife coach, and my goal is to help women with incarcerated spouses create healthy relationships by getting clear on who they are so they can stop worrying and they can learn how to communicate with confidence and communicate what they need in their relationship. Because at the end of the day, you got to speak up for what you need and not be so focused on
Focus on us.
focus on us.
Focus on us.
Focus on us. Okay. We got a new camera too. How you like our new camera?
Yeah, man.
What's
we
up,
upgraded,
Moni?
man. We upgraded. We upgraded.
We got an upgrade, a gift from mother.
Yeah, man.
So we look a little clearer these days. So hope you guys like it. All right. So today we are talking about communication and how communication evolves. You smirking already? Was that smirk for me?
No.
No. Talking about how communication evolves in the relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking up stuff and always researching. It's just how I am. I'm a researcher by nature.
Most of the stuff she researched, I already say.
Well, you spent years reading books. So
This is true.
I mean, I have not spent years in prison reading.
This is
The
true.
man's probably read how many books have you read?
Thousands.
He's read thousands of books. Mom's on here.
All
How's
the
the
way
camera
from
looking?
the DR.
From the Dominican Republic. What's up,
Mom
Mom?
Dukes is hollering all
How
the
we
way
looking?
from
The
the
camera's
DR.
looking good and clear and crisp. So anyway, he's read thousands of books, which is why he's very well read. Me, on the other hand, I was the person who was getting cliff notes. I was the cliff noter. I ain't never read no books. I didn't start reading books until I became an adult. But it doesn't negate the fact that I love doing research. I always love learning why and why things the way they are. Um, and because of what I've experienced in my own relationship, Elmira, what's up, girl? Because of what I've experienced and how the communication has been while he was incarcerated and since he's come home, and then now that he's been home for over a year. So first, before we start, I want to kind of read over what the four.
Man, she's going to the notes, y'all.
I got notes. Yeah. I think this is important. You know, man, I'm very research based, and I love research. That's just how I roll. If you ain't into research, then I can't help you. I don't know. That's just me.
I'm really off the cuff. Y'all get the best of both worlds.
I love looking up research papers. That's just me. So we have passive. These are 4 basic types or styles of communication. You got passive, passive aggressive, assertive, and aggressive. And just to kind of give you an overview, what the different types of styles are. Passive, so I'll just read it off. So individuals who use the passive communication style often act indifferently, yielding to others. Passive communicators usually fail to express their feelings or needs, allowing others to express themselves. And basically, there's a lack of outward communication, which can lead to misunderstanding, anger buildup, or resentment. And as I was reading through these, it made me think of the different dynamics of communication in the prison relationship, which is why I'm reading these to you. Hopefully, I'm not boring you. You can blast me in the comments if I am. All right, then you have aggressive. Aggressive style is emphasized by speaking in a loud and demanding voice, maintaining intensive eye contact, being dominating, controlling others, or blaming, intimidating others, criticizing, threatening. You're attacking people, basically.
She said I'm aggressive.
Who's aggressive?
You say I communicate aggressively.
Okay, we'll get to that. And then you have passive aggressive, which I dislike. Passive aggressive communication style. Whoa. Oh, that was you. Is that you doing it to yourself? So passive aggressive Users appear passive on the surface, but within he or she may feel powerless or stuck, building up a resentment that leads to seething or acting out in subtle, indirect, or secret ways, right?
That's sneaky shit.
It's sneaky. Most passive-aggressive communicators will mutter to themselves rather than confront a person or issue. I see them as the person who kind of mutters under or speak under the breath at you, like what happened to you at the barbershop today.
Yo, I called that stuff out though.
And lastly, we'll get to it. We'll get
with
to
men,
it.
I called.
Hold on, let me read the last one. The last one is assertive. Thought to be this is thought of as being the most effective form of communication. Assertive communicators can express their own needs, desires, ideas, and feelings while also considering the needs of others. So assertive communicators aim for both sides to win in a situation, balancing one's rights with the rights of others. So those are the four main ones. So I thought this was interesting because I was thinking back to how I used to communicate with him when he was still incarcerated. And I don't know, as I read these, do you guys think that you are predominantly one type of communicator versus another? If your man is still incarcerated, do any of these jump out at you as far as how you communicate or how your spouse communicates to you?
A lot of times when we in there, like, I mean, most of us will come off either assertive or aggressive.
So you're saying if you're locked up that you appear to be assertive or aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, that's how we used to dealing with each other. Like straight to the point. I'm dealing with another man. So like for 30 minutes out of the day, I'm dealing with my wife, or however long I'm on the phone, I'm dealing with my wife. But outside of that, I'm dealing with all men. COs, I don't care, man or woman, you're a man, you got a badge. So it's always direct to the point, but not everybody be like that though. You got some people that be passive. Yes, boss. Can I just go take a piss?
You mean to the COs?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying predominantly.
What's up, Carla?
Carla, yeah. So predominantly the men, speaking from the man perspective, most of them are, would you say, are aggressive communicators?
Aggressive or assertive.
Or assertive, and then some of them are passive aggressive.
I mean, yes. I mean, a lot of times, we will get passive aggressive. If we can't have our way or whatever like that, or it's something that rub us the wrong way, but we ain't really trying to go into it. Sometimes you get passive aggressive and you take little shots. You know what I'm saying? Well, you might say something that'll get straight under their skin, and it's gonna get under their skin. Like, what was you doing today? You know what I mean? Like, I called you. You know what I mean? You must have been busy.
Oh yeah, you do that.
You know what I mean? And you start playing mental gymnastics and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
So that
shit weak.
How do you guys communicate? Where do you put yourself on the scale? Passive, aggressive, or assertive? So the one that sticks out to me when he was locked up was passive. So I think when he was locked up, I had more of a passive approach because I was stuck in that mindset of being concerned or worried if I was too aggressive or assertive, or if I called him out or something, he was going to take his aggression out on somebody else, or
that'd be a myth. Like when you dealing with somebody.
Carla said it looks good. We got a new camera.
When you dealing with somebody, and if you're afraid that your loved one is gonna go off the deep end because you checked them, then that means that a different conversation need to be had about growing up. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, whatever we beef about shouldn't affect our bit.
Yeah, but we don't feel that way.
No, you don't feel that way.
We
feel
like
we know.
Sometimes feel like it's a life or death, and you take advantage of it.
Yeah, we do. We take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it really do be like if I'm having a messed up day and I call her and it's a messed up conversation, yeah, something might happen. But that's only because it's not because of that conversation. It's just because I let go what was supposed to happen. That got on my nerves. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to have a conversation because it's a growing up process that has to happen.
So basically, the women should not be afraid to speak their mind. No. Should not take a passive approach.
No.
Do you think?
Because we're not used to that, and you present yourself as a doormat. Whether you are, whether you aren't, you presenting yourself as a doormat because we ain't used to that. Yo, the cell gotta get clean. It's your turn to clean it. Clean it up.
No. I mean, you're saying that's how you.
Yeah.
So, but for myself, the more I understood his mentality, now I'm speaking about when he's. I started changing my communication habits at the end of his bid.
Yeah.
Why did I though?
Because you were very tired, as I was.
I can't remember why.
Well, you had concrete proof.
Oh, yeah.
You had concrete proof.
Yeah. I had more confidence because I was always afraid to call him out on stuff because I didn't have proof of anything that I wanted to call him out on.
You got to have, you got to be locked.
But what I've learned is you do not need to have proof
you don't.
To bring something up that is bothering you. You don't need
we
to
ain't in a court of law.
Yeah, very true. So if something's bothering you, just, hey, this is what's going on.
This is how I'm feeling.
And then see what he has to say about it. But once I got past that point and I had more confidence, I think I started becoming more. Would I say is aggressive? No.
Nah, you not aggressive, but more assertive. I mean, you're more assertive. But I mean, honestly speaking, like we still, both of us, we cupcakes for each other, So she bite her tongue sometimes, I bite my tongue sometimes. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, I guess, So, but yeah, the community when it comes time to get in the ring, yeah, she way more assertive, getting her point across.
And now I think what I've learned, AJ said you called him out and that confidence kicked in.
Yeah.
Nowadays, let me tell you. Okay, so this is where we're at now. So we had a year and some change, a little under a year and a half. And what I've learned, and I'm just now learning this honestly, because the first year he changed so much. Like he would flip flop, and in 1 month he would be here 1 week, here the next week. It was hard to kind of gauge, what was going on. So I would say it took me. I'm just now getting to that place where I can understand what's the best way of communicating with him, because
I'm a tough cookie.
I am. Well, I don't know what you mean by you're a tough cookie, but for me, it's just understanding what he responds to. So it's like finding a balance between what's not going to upset him or trigger him, but also get my point across and get him to take action, basically. My goal is to get him to take action. So now what I've learned is I'm using his prison mentality on him because he understands aggression, he understands assertiveness. So instead of being passive, and definitely don't be passive aggressive and say stuff, and that's probably what I've learned early on. The worst possible way to communicate to somebody who's been locked up is to take a passive aggressive approach.
Yeah, because they already most of us see through all of that, and
yeah, because they know what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
and you being smart about it.
Yeah,
so
I'll play stupid.
All you're doing is adding more gas to the fire, basically. So don't ever but early on when you don't have as much control of your emotions because he pissing you off and you just be angry or whatever. You just can't help but to take jabs. Until you get to the point you're like, man, I just want peace.
And you know what? It take a few different rounds going like knock down, drag out, where as though you like, yo,
I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
So this is how it evolved for me. It went from being a passive communicator, to when he came home after that lovey-dovey or the infatuation stage. I was passive aggressive.
Well, you wanted to get that attention.
It really was. Now I'm talking about, think about it. Yeah, it's really how it evolved. Passive aggressive, because I was upset, I was angry, and I just felt like he should be helping out around the house more, and I didn't know how to communicate with him. I did not understand him.
She chose a way that, looking back on it, like 20 years later down the road, yo, we really gonna have a good laugh about that.
What, me?
Yes.
And then from passive aggressive, now I think I slowly have gotten more into the assertive stage.
Yeah,
we stopped communicating altogether, I think, for a while.
Yeah, we ain't say much.
We stopped. Yeah, we literally totally stopped communicating.
We go right around each other.
After the passive aggressive stage, we just like went to our corners. The bell rung, boom, boom. The round was over, and the intermission lasted for a couple months. We had an intermission.
I'm gonna leave you alone.
I'll be over here. You over there. If we're gonna live, we can live in the same house together, but don't bother me.
Yep.
That was the approach.
Yep.
Don't talk to me.
Yep.
Unless you got something
important to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were sending messages on a text message.
Were we?
In the house.
So we went from passive to passive aggressive to no communication. And once all the stress levels deflated a little bit, I think we started communicating again, but it was sparse.
Yeah.
It was sparse. And then now, here, fast forward, because now I'm taking it, I had to talk to myself. I had to have a talk to myself. I'm like, all right, Tamika, you either want to make it, because I really wasn't sure if I wanted it to work.
You have to be real with yourself and ask yourself those questions, though. You got to ask yourself the hard questions.
Yeah. There was a time frame, a period of time where I really had to do some soul searching and ask myself, do I even want to continue this? Because it'll take you to that brink. It'll take you to that point. He's saying he felt the same way.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure we were going to make it this far, honestly. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it this far. I wasn't even sure I wanted it. So, which is another reason why I just stopped communicating, because there's no reason to make an effort to communicate if you don't want to really be there. You know what I'm saying?
This is true.
So, you really have to reflect and understand why you're with the person. What
caused you to be with them, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, because trust and believe, you're not the only one thinking that. So whatever your significant other communicates or doesn't communicate, if you feeling that way, they probably feeling the same way too. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's a valid question that you got to ask yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I want this? Like, do I? And I mean, if you don't, you don't. If you do, then you got to be change a few things up. Like, I had to be more receptive, to criticisms. She had to be less, criticizing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a give and take. And I mean, we ain't necessarily, sit down and draw the X's and O's up, but it comes over time. We ain't just started this.
Yeah, I think for me, the deciding factor was having a conversation with myself. What is it that I want? Do I want my marriage to work?
And you can't, I'm sorry, you can't, you can want your significant other to be at the place that you want him to be all day long. But when you start thrusting those expectations, look, you need to meet this mark and that mark and this mark and that mark. You know what I'm saying? Like that is where you begin to take the bus to Funky Town. You know, because at the end of the day, don't love them for the potential. You know what I'm saying? Love the person that's right there in front of you. Don't love him for who he can be, because he might not never make that. He might not.
That's hard. That's a hard one.
He might not never make that. You know, and he might die trying to make that. You know what I mean?
Or he might not try at all.
Or he might not try at all. Love the person that presents himself in front of you every day.
There was a time
and want more.
There was a time you weren't trying.
Yeah, it was.
It's tough to do that, because you're like, you see so much in a person and they're not making any effort. But yeah, so once I made a decision that, all right, I want to make it work, it was a fight. I had an internal fight with myself. Because you're stuck in that space between wanting to get, I guess, I don't know if I should say get him back, or you want him to feel the pain that he's causing you, because he's causing you so much distress at the beginning, and you want him to feel that, and you want him to dwell in it, and you have to be able to move past it.
That's a bad place, though.
It is a bad place.
That's a bad place. It's an understandable place, whereas though you want your man to feel it, but at the end of the day, that's a slippery slope, because the way he feel pain and process pain is totally different than the way you process pain. You know what I mean? So, whereas though it might be a quick jab or a quick get back, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we all are human, and, you know, sometimes you want to be petty. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you got to put that on the scale too. Is it worth it? Because if he ends up in this rabbit hole, we might be here for a month or two. You know, and that's not what I want. So is me do I want to be right, or do I want to stay married? You know what I mean? You got to ask yourself them things.
Early on, though, I didn't care.
Yeah, I think when you married, though, like you go through periods.
I was happy that he was mad.
Yeah, you go through periods where absolutely.
That's what he'd get.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, the trauma heartache. But then eventually, like, once you get to that place where you're like, all right, this is what I want. I mean, and I knew deep down inside, okay, not the whole time, but I got to a point where I knew inside what I wanted, but I wasn't ready to express it outwardly, because I still wanted him to feel the pain that I was experiencing. But once I really got to the place where I was ready to move forward, that's probably when, in my opinion, when it started getting better. Because someone had to step up to move, forward. So, and now that I'm in a better mental space, I pay more attention to how he receives what I say. And what I've learned in the last month, literally, this is the most recent stuff, is that when I'm more assertive, when I speak to him more directly, and don't come at him with the well, I was thinking, yeah, he don't respond to that. And I was so caught up in not wanting to cause trauma or be stressed out, because it was such a stressful phase at the beginning, that I was tiptoeing around him.
You should never have to do that in your own household.
But now, I don't care. I don't care anymore.
It's a beautiful thing.
I just pull him up like, look, come here, we gotta talk. All right, look, bro.
And when it's like that, it's more real, because your significant other won't care. You know what I'm saying? So he gonna say what's on his mind. So it's a trickle down effect. Okay, she ain't porcelain. She had the balls enough to say this to me. You know what I'm saying? Well, hey, listen. it only gets better. You know what I'm saying? But again, you got to want to communicate. You have to want to be there. You got to want to be in it to win it. You know,
It's just hard to establish a healthy relationship when you're caught up in the space of wanting them to pay for what they have done or whatever you are feeling hurt about. If you're in a space of wanting them to pay for anything, then you're not going to move forward.
and at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't ever think that your significant other can't bring up times and situations and circumstances where they want you to pay, you know, and where they want you to, you know, suffer or whatever like that. But if you got somebody that really honestly love you, we really, really know the meaning of suffering and pain. You don't want nobody suffering like that.
Do we?
You don't. You don't. You don't want nobody.
Man, y'all quiet out there. The chat has not jumped in about 20 minutes. I feel like I'm talking to myself.
You're not. They receiving it.
Okay.
They receiving it.
Yeah, I like when the audience speaks. Oh, a comment. Thank you. Let me know. Are we resonating with y'all? Do you not get it? Are we hit? I don't know. So I've heard a lot of girls talking about how they've lost their honest communication with their man when he comes home. Why do you think that happens? So I've heard a lot of girls talking about they've lost their honest communication. What do you mean by honest communication? They lost their honest communication.
The same type of communication they was getting while they was locked up.
Is that what you mean?
Where it feels like, yeah, I don't want to talk for you, but I can imagine, you know, where you feel like the world and the moon and the stars revolve around you and everything stop, you know, when y'all on the phone and y'all exist in this, you know what I mean, bubble. Listen. First of all, a lot of niggas ain't even serious about the relationships, period.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? And when you come home, a lot of us that got good hearts, you know, innately, I guess, will try and stick it out the best way we can. But your heart not there. Your heart never really was there. And then second, life happens. So even if they do love you and all that other good stuff, you know what I'm saying? You come home, you might not get hit with the bills, but you seeing them come in. You know what I'm saying? You seeing kids eat up all the food and stuff like that. And like, you know what I mean? Like, where do I contribute? You know, so you lose a certain sense of communication because of real life. You know,
you get caught up worrying about other stuff, I guess. Real
yeah,
life
if you in the joint, that's all he got to be concerned about is you. He done ate. He know where he's sleeping. You know what I mean? Is money on the phone? Is food in his locker? Why wouldn't he be concerned about you? You know, why wouldn't the earth stop? That's not real life, though. That's not real life.
True indeed. True indeed.
Enjoy it while you can. That does not mean that he's selling you a dream or anything. It doesn't mean that he's not selling you a dream, but it doesn't mean that he's selling you a dream.
I think that's just the biggest clash with women is they don't think about that. They don't realize that he's in that bubble.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's that game? There's like a TV show where they go and they're on these Big islands.
Brother. Oh, so yeah.
Big Not brother. Survivor. Yeah, like, brother. You ever watch those TV shows where, like, I can't remember the names of them, but they're like secluded on a fancy island and all they got to worry about is them and
that's it.
Making a connection.
That's it.
And then
that's easy.
And then they go home and then have to live in the real world and all real life stuff comes up. That's exactly what
man ain't got no time to be spending all night writing you poetry and love letters and stuff like that because it's work in the morning. you know, or he trying to find work in the morning, you know. But I mean, those of us that want it, you know, we figure it out after a while. We try to, you know.
Squid Game, is that one of the TV shows?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, in a sense, what you're saying is like it's not a real relation. Well, I hate to say it's not a real relationship, but the dynamics of the relationship aren't. Truly,
it's different. It's different. It's different
not
building
to say
blocks.
it's not real, but
yeah, no, I'm not saying it ain't real. It's just different. You built your foundation on different building blocks, and when you come home, you forget them building blocks that you built your relationship off of because it's real life, and you got a real human. Y'all having real sex. Y'all got real problems. Y'all got, you know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of reality. You know, so it's not that it's fictitious, fugazi. You know what I mean? It's just a different aspect of it, and you got to navigate your way through the waters.
It's almost impossible for a relationship not to change.
Yeah, of course it's going to change.
It's almost like when you have a baby. The relationship's going to change when you have a baby.
Of course it's going to change.
You have to expect it to change. Of course it's going to change. But I guess
now you want to try to steer it in the right direction when it changes, you know, and it just doesn't implode. But
I mean, some relationships aren't going to thrive because
absolutely not.
What you thrived on the inside
can't sustain you.
Yeah, it no longer exists when he comes home.
And it ain't going to sustain you. So love don't pay the bills.
So we need to understand that it's not a matter of being upset if a relationship doesn't work though, because it's just the dynamic of the relationship changes when they come home, right? Exactly what he just described. So, and I think sometimes people confuse that with he used me or which is the common theme you hear.
Yeah. And that's
he took advantage of me. It might not be the case.
It might not be.
It's just how people go their separate ways. But people aren't prepared for that to happen because they're not prepared for how the dynamics of the relationship change.
And the dreams be so beautiful. Yo, the dreams be, yo, baby, listen, yo, it's going to be us. And yo, it's me and you against the world till the wheels fall off. Wait a minute, yo, you should be asking yourself why the wheels going to fall off. We don't want to drive in a vehicle where the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, all that shit sound good. You got to push past all that fluff. You know, and that might not be game. That just really might be how he feeling. Yo, this my ride or die. Why I got to die with you? Start preparing now. You know what I'm saying? That way when he get home, it's something more solid than, oh, I love you. You know what I mean? Always love her. I didn't look at her and she didn't look at me before. I don't like her right now. You know what I mean? Love ain't about nothing. You got to have something more solid. Have something way more solid than that. Start building now.
I think what's important is that people discuss their values and their core values.
Absolutely.
If you don't have similar core values and all you have is that excitement of the relationship, the letters and you know, the phone calls and, you know, sometimes people get addicted to all that. The adrenaline.
Aisha Bandelli said in A Prisoner's Wife, you ain't never had a letter till you had a letter from somebody that's locked up. You know what I'm saying? Because when we get the letter, boy, we is in it. Everything get poured out on the paper. That's not to say that it's false. It's just I'm dreaming just like you dreaming. You know what I mean? Who are you to say that my dreams is false? Who am I to say that yours is false? I'm dreaming just like you. I want a better life just like you. At that moment, yes, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. At that moment, I can't see anything else. I can't see past these walls. You helping me see past these walls. Be mindful. Be mindful. Be cautious. Be cautious.
So I'm curious, how do you guys feel as though that you are communicating. If you're out there and do you, out of all the styles that we talked about earlier, passive, aggressive, assertive. What was the other one? Aggressive. Did I hit them all?
Yeah.
How? So I mean, you don't have to put in the chat, but at least evaluate yourself. How do you communicate with him now? Do you feel like you communicate effectively with him, or not so effectively? And please do share. You know, I like the audience to talk back. You know, what do you think that you need to improve upon? Now, I don't know if the same. Close your door.
Oh, it's already emotional.
Oh my Lord! I don't know if you will get the same. Like for me, I notice if I am more assertive, then I get a better response from him. But I don't know if that's the case with every man coming home from prison. If it would be the same, so you kind of have to experiment and see what happens. It's all trial and error. Like I said, it took me a year and a couple months to get to this place, and I'm just now getting here, really understanding how to get him to take action. Matter of fact, I had a conversation with him this morning because when he's not working, his habits are sleeping, watching TV, or playing a video game. And I've been watching him do this for a whole month. Until I got to the point, it's all right, I'm done. I'm done watching him do this. And I came in and turned the TV off. I was like, boop. I said, I'm going to be rude right now. And I'm turned the TV off. I said, look, blah, blah, blah. I had to say what I had to say to him. And he was receptive. So this is the second time I just kind of just like, look, let's talk. Boom, 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 boom. I need you to do this. So that's what I did. I laid out, this is what you're doing. This is what I need you to do.
That's how I prefer it.
I told him I need you to put your Mario hat on and level up. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, boo, boo. Yeah, like get off the couch, put some smell goods on, make yourself look a little sexy.
That's what was said. I mean, but when it was said like that, like
and get something done around the house.
I received it. You know, I talk to Tamika a lot different than I talk to people in the street. You know what I mean? Like I talk to my family different, and I feel like that's how it should be. You know,
I feel me and my man communicating effectively for most of the time. He's still locked up, so I'm sometimes a bit more passive than I usually am. Why are you passive? What are the reasons why? Why are you, if you don't want to be passive with him, why are you being passive? Not judging, because that's how I used to be, but I just kind of want to know, why are you choosing to be that way? What are you afraid of? Or what's holding you back from communicating a little more effectively? Because you do believe you are communicating effectively, you said. But it sounds like you could do a little better based on what you said.
I mean, from my standpoint,
couch diving. Here he goes. He's couch diving.
If your dudes is cut from my side of the cloth, right? Like we hard dudes to stand up to. Like it's hard. It's hard to stand up. I know it's hard to stand up to us because I done looked at grown men wanting to say something and they haven't. You know, so I can imagine. At the end of the day, pull your panties up. Go get it. You know what I mean? If it's a fight, it's a fight. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be like we over type of fight.
I think that's what a lot of women are afraid of, though. They're afraid.
Where they going? Where the nigga going? He ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. We beef, argued, all that type stuff, cuss, fuss, all that stuff on the phone. At the end of the day,
what?
Yes.
We ain't cussing each other.
No, we don't do no cussing at each other. But we fuss.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, we don't cuss.
That's one of our rules. We don't cuss at each other.
We don't cuss at each other.
Mm-mm.
But we have fussed. At the end of the day, I'm calling as soon as the phone's open. Hey, what's happening? Or even just to say nothing on the phone, knowing that we still beefing. But you gonna answer the phone. And yeah, yo, like
We've definitely had silent phone calls before.
absolutely.
I'm still mad, or he's mad at me, but we just call and make sure everybody's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I still love you, but I'm still mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna listen to you breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely done that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've listened to me breathe on the phone and fall asleep. What are you doing, buddy? He's officially couch dived off the couch. But yeah, Emma, what you got for me? What you got for me? Are you writing an extra long message for me?
Yo, I checked the barber today. She said it was out. It was not ordinary, I guess. But from my standpoint, yo, you messed my hair up twice. You owe me. You know what I'm saying? I need my money. Yo, cut my hair. You know, you gonna pay yo. You gonna pay me because I paid yo. I didn't think that was unreasonable.
This man got a refund on a haircut.
From 3 weeks ago.
From 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, but I felt like what's right is right, wrong is wrong. We're not gonna make no big scene, a spectacle, or nothing like that. I pulled you away from everybody, you know. I don't want you to be embarrassed. Let me get that, please. You know.
Only him.
He gave it to me. He said something slick, and like I said, when you say something slick under your breath, I'm gonna call you straight out on it. You said something slick in front of everybody, so I'm gonna address you in front of everybody. Now it's everybody's business. Don't do that, man. You know what's up. You know what's up. No, my bad. Okay. Cool. I don't want no smoke. I'm pushing my baby. Appreciate you, bro.
Oh, nope. Those are not for food. That is not for consumption.
Apparently, I haven't learned the correct way of communicating because I thought that I was.
Let's talk about how your communication has changed. Has your communication? I've talked about how I've changed. What about you? How do you evaluate yourself since you've been locked up and since coming home? If anyone cares to know, well, I do. Have you noticed a change? Is that something you?
No, I don't. I don't really notice a change, but I do know it's a change. I guess I'm more. I give more of myself to her. You know what I'm saying? Now, like with the society, like I could care less. My bosses, I'm still the same person.
So how have you changed? What do you communicate differently?
I ask more questions.
You do?
Whereas though, like if I feel like, man, that wasn't the right move, I will ask her. You know, before I go ahead on and speak my mind or do whatever it is with somebody out there, I call and say, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, you do.
You know, this is what I'm thinking. I think I'm right, but
is that more of a trust issue? Like not issue, but trust thing? Like you trust for me to advise you?
Oh yeah, you know I ain't listening to everybody. You already know that. I
see you asking questions more, also not being in defensive that's very true. He's not being defensive. That is the biggest change I see in him. So for many months he'd be very defensive. And I think did we talk about that last time?
Maybe.
Or was I on a live? I was on Instagram talking about it. I can't remember where we had this conversation. Not you and me. But I was speaking somewhere. I was talking about not saying things that puts him in a defensive place. Was that on YouTube? Was that
here? It could have been.
I don't remember where I was saying, but where I was talking. But yeah, you got to make sure that when you're talking to him, you're not putting him on a defense. I was mentioning that never start questions with the word why.
Yeah.
Is that on here?
Yeah.
So he does not feel attacked, but probably too because I think I'm doing better.
Yeah, you doing better. And I mean, I ain't
think
hiding shit.
I think it's a joint effort.
You get defensive when you hiding shit and you slipping and
Oh.
sliding and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So you get defensive with 100 questions because now it's more work. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I ain't slipping and sliding. I ain't hiding shit. You know what I mean? So I don't really be caring for her.
You're more tolerant of me asking you questions.
Yeah.
Because I also explained to him that in order for me to understand him better,
she gotta ask questions.
I have to ask questions. And he would get so offended and he would get so defensive by it. But I don't think I ask as many questions now because now I'm starting to understand him.
Yeah, no, she don't.
I don't the questions, but you gotta go through that phase where you gotta ask questions. When you don't understand something, don't be afraid to ask the same question over again.
Yo.
Yeah. I will ask the same
this
question.
woman that asked me some crazy shit, yo. I just laugh.
Well, I gotta get to the point where I feel comfortable. So I'm gonna keep on asking until I have a level of comfort.
Facts.
Why should I not? I mean, you gotta go through the trenches to get to a place of peace.
You have to, yeah.
You gotta go through.
You gotta be willing to get in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully, ideally, none of us want to be there, but realistically, you're gonna be in the trenches. So you can't you can't be scared to put your boots on.
Very true.
You don't know what he wants.
But no, we were supposed to be going to therapy, but neither one of us has signed ourselves up. So my question is it possible to do it without a therapist?
I mean, we doing it. It's probably more, give and take without one, but yeah, it's possible.
I think because we took the approach of wanting to understand the other person is what I mean. Yeah, putting yourself in the other person's shoes or wanting to understand the other person. At least for me,
yeah,
that's what greatly helped. I don't know about yourself.
I mean, for me, it was just seeing the effort that she was going through to try and understand me. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, just being honest, you know what I'm saying? I don't care how you have evolved, because all of you have evolved during this time while your man is locked up. It don't matter how you've evolved. Yo, they didn't already pick you apart. We got 24 hours to sit in the cell and think all day. You know what I mean? How you grew, what happened or whatever like that. But when you see your significant other devoting the same amount of energy into it, it means something. It means something. Or it should mean something.
He's hungry.
Yeah, he's hungry. We about at 51:35. So we're
Does anyone have any questions or concerns? There must be a lot of self-reflection in order for you not to need a therapist. Let me think that over.
I'm used to that though, generally.
All he does is think. He's in a cell. He used to be in a cell. I know all he does is think.
I can't stop.
For myself,
I really be cutting the TV on though just for noise so that my brain don't go. Like I cut the TV on and might not even be watching the joint.
Jenny, you are right, because I do recall that I had to think about what could I change. I'm definitely a firm believer that you got to look within yourself and not point the finger all the time and say, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you can do better. You got to be in a place of wanting to know what can you better and how did you contribute. You can't be in a relationship and then always wonder what the other person can do better. You got to look in yourself and say, hey, what can I do better? Because at that point, I don't know. I just think you gotta better yourself first before you can place yourself in a healthy relationship. All right, look, you about to cut out. Who got questions? Hurry up! You got 1 minute.
Pretty much.
1 minute. Analyzation of our word and action subjectively.
Yeah. You gotta use. Yeah. You gotta be methodically logical. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that a lot of us know how to do because we constantly plotting, constantly, yo, you know what I'm saying, how I'm gonna get around this CO, you know what I mean? All right, I'm
You
gonna
was
bust
plotting
this
when you came
way.
home.
Yeah.
You was still in that plotting mindset.
So the best of us, yeah, we use logic, you know, because what's rational might not always be right. You know what I mean?
What's rational might not always be right.
No. You know, logically, I shouldn't approach the dude about that money. Rationally, I'm like, yo, yeah, I know I could get away with it. But at the end of the day, what if it did go south? You know what I'm saying?
I would hope you'd have enough sense to back off.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna back out the driveway, you know what I'm saying? But see, I'm not gonna put myself in a position where it is gonna go south. So when I approach a situation, yes, it's in the back of my head that it could happen. And you gotta be prepared for it. But no.
Ugh.
No. You know what's up with me, Jen. Listen, hey, we can ready to roll, man. This has been real. Communication is the key.
And if you want some more help communicating, hit us up. You know we're doing coaching women with incarcerated spouses. So if you need help maintaining a healthy relationship, hit me up on Instagram, Fit Prison Wife, or DM me on here.
Love you too, Jen.
Bye.
We out. Love you, Ma.
Thank you for the camera.
Thank you for the camera. Shout out to Mom Dukes.
Looks good.
I'm trying to figure out how to get up. In stream right here.
Yeah.
Hello.